All right, everybody, here's tip number one. Now, sometimes you have a sprite that is too big or too small, and we all know that we can shrink the sprite with code like so, if we wanted to make it smaller as we start our project. But if you don't want to have it shrink when you hit a green flag, you actually can just drag the shrink code down like this. And then if you tap on this code, it will shrink it to the size that you want. And then you can throw that away. And this now becomes the default size for when you start your project. The same thing could be true of the opposite if you want to just start with a sprite on a larger size. So if you see, if I keep going back to the beginning here, this is now the default size. Okay, this next tip's kind of like a reminder more than anything else. But as you are building games with multiple sprites, they will layer the sprites as they are placed here. What that means is that this red fish with the polka dots right there is going to be in the background, and the one that's closest to the front is going to be this rowboat. So if you need to adjust that, so if I hit play, you'll see how my whale is on top of almost everything else. So there's not a way to drag and change that, but what you can do is you can move sprites by creating and re-adding them. So for example, let's say I wanted to put the fish in the front. I would hit a new sprite here, and I would select the fish. And now obviously I have two fish. So what I will do then is I will take the code for my first fish and I will drag it up into my second fish. And now I can go and delete my first fish. The game will behave the same way, but you notice that that fish is now in front of my whale. So if I wanted to somehow shift my whale to the front, what I would have to do is I would have to do that same process for everything above the whale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd have to re-add and drag the code over, but eventually that would make my whale go to the top and it would be behind the other creatures. So that's how you rearrange the layers. Okay, everybody, tip number 2 is inserting your face inside sprites. Now, we already know how to do it with the ones that have the blank faces. We just edit the sprite, tap on the camera icon, tap on the face, and then we can take a picture of ourselves inside there. Now, what if it doesn't have a blank face? Can you still do it? Yes, you can, but it's a little bit of a hack. So we're going to select the sprite and then edit the sprite. And here's where we're going to use the hack. So we're going to go to the circle, and then the outline. I'm just going to stick with something similar to the outline of the character. And now what we're going to do is we're going to drag a circle over the face at a diagonal. This takes a little bit of getting used to get it lined up. I kind of nailed it first time out of the gates right there. So you'll notice there's now a circle that I put around her face. Now I can go to the camera button and I can tap on that, and you can now put your face inside of the old lady. That's terrifying. But anyways, so that would be how you would insert a face inside of any sprite where it doesn't have the empty face. Okay, this next tip has to do with when your students accidentally delete their projects. And this happens all the time for me. So it's really easy to delete projects. Like once I go like this, it's gone, and I'm never going to get that project back. So your students will sometimes do that. So let's say they deleted a project they've been working on for a few days. So you can make them start from scratch, but usually what I do is I go to another student or to my own project, and what I will do is I will just airdrop that project over to them. So if you go to the yellow top right here, and then you hit for parents, which gives you a really simple math problem, then you get the share by airdrop. And what I'll do is I will tap that. I'll make sure airdrop's on in my student's device. and then I will share it over to their iPad. And then once they get it, they can open it up and then send it into Scratch Junior, and then they can work from wherever the other student or wherever you left off. It's much easier to do this than it is to have them rebuild the project from scratch. So I usually just take another student and airdrop their project over.